Hello, it's me, Annalisa, with my spiritual friend, and I'm live. I know this is sort of last minute, but given everything that's kind of crazy, and I had this idea that I wanted to sit down and do. You're seeing one of my kids' drawings on the wall there. I wanted to do more like spiritually reverendry stuff, just to kind of help everybody through the calm. And I had this idea that I'd do it in this more planned way, but I've been seeing so many things in the last few days, and I just wanted to kind of share them and get it all out there. Hello. So first I wanted to start with, I guess, I don't know if you want to have me ramble for a minute. I was going to show you something quick. Let me show you this quick. So then on my, hello, when I do my live show here normally on Sundays and I answer questions, I just like have you guys ask questions. And I always say my private readings are different, right? So I wanted to show you how my private readings are different real quick. And then I'm going to do all my personal stories since I don't talk a lot about too much personal stuff. But so this is how I do my readings. And I don't want it to be too because this is someone's reading I did this morning. But, and that's the stomach area. I'm not trying to draw a penis on there, just so you know. Anyway, so basically what I do is a prayer of protection, and I welcome in or tell you which guides are here for you. And then I essentially do a head to toe energy reading and tell you everything I get, what they're showing me energetically, spiritually, past life, whatever, and any spirits that come in. I share everything that I get for you. And then, thank you, Urban Lady. And then I have you guys ask questions when you're at the end, because I sort of want to give you more of the validation type reading. Okay, so I had to wait a few days to tell this story because honestly, every time I thought about it, and I might even cry a little bit now, so bear with me. I think I've shared before, and maybe I haven't. No, it was in my interview I did with Tony last week. I said that, it's interesting because when my grandmother died, my Gami, obviously we all have two grandmothers, right? But when my Gami died, it was my mom's mom. I didn't really cry for over a year about it because I was already sort of making my move and my transition into this spiritual journey. And I had helped people cross over as a student nurse intern and all these other things. So to me, it was like, in fact, I didn't even go to her funeral. That's a long story. I'll tell you real quick. I mean, not too long, but it was weird for me because I had to reconcile. I was having a hard time that I wasn't crying and stuff about it, but she does visit me and I love her dearly. I have so many wonderful and fond memories of growing up with her. Okay. So I always talk about that you can have, when you have visitations, you can smell, sometimes they visit you and show you through their smell. And I will smell my grandmother often. It's usually a combination of scents, and it's a weird reason why, but it's usually a combination of scents. And wait, can I back up and kind of go off on a little tangent here about her? Because I wore lipstick, which is not much lipstick because I don't wear a lot of lipstick, and earrings, and I put mascara on because she always put on her fake eyelashes. She was a redheaded Irish woman and Catholic too. There's a reason for that. And she always had lipstick and earrings. She said she felt naked if she didn't went out in public without those. So I did this as like a little homage to her. And so a few months before she passed away, I had been dating my husband, and I thought I'd never really told her about boyfriends or anything. So I kind of told her about him, and she said, well, is he from Texas? And I said, no. And she's like, I said, he's from New York. He's a Yankee, which my grandmother grew up in the Depression in the South. Give her a break. And I said, yeah, he's a Yankee. She said, well, is he Catholic? I said, no. Well, is he at least Christian? I said, no, he's Jewish. So I didn't send her on her deathbed, but anyway, so that's my story about her. But so she passed away in 2008. She passed away a couple of months after I had that conversation with her. And unfortunately, I couldn't go to her funeral because I was 2 weeks to the end of one of my nursing contracts. And when you're a travel nurse, if you don't work, you don't get paid. And not only do you not get paid, you also have to pay for your housing. So you are out a lot of money. And I didn't have a contract lined up right after this, and they hadn't renewed my contract. So I was a sitting duck for, I had 2 weeks left of work, and I didn't want to go spend a whole bunch of money on an emergency plane flight, which would be $1,000 or so, plus a rental car and a hotel. And I figured she understood, and she did. But so the other day I was going out, I had to run out and pick up some food that my husband ordered. Someone is like, anyway, sorry, I had to pick up some food that I ordered. And I was looking for a quick mask because I hadn't sewn one yet. So I was like, she's got to have some tea towels. I have some of her old linens. And I pulled out the tea towel, and y'all, she died 12 years ago. And I folded it. Sorry. And I put it over my face, and I could still smell her perfume. And that was so incredibly profound to me. And I felt like that was such a gift because I could have, I looked around for all different things, and I just specifically went to that. And how many times are you going to still smell somebody's perfume on something 12 years after they pass? It was so amazing. And I've heard of other stories from people lately, and these are ways that they visit us. These are ways that they make us know that they're with us and we're safe and everything's okay. And I'm crying more because it felt like I was hugging her, and I never really thought that I'd get to hug her again. So it was such a huge gift. Sorry. But that's like one of the things that's happened lately. So I want you to look for these things and understand that it doesn't mean that the scary things are coming and they're here to escort us into the light. It's that they're reminding us when the chaos is around that they're really here and we're safe and everything's okay. And I know I always reassure you guys, like, I really do believe my guides. I have so much faith, but it was just such a nice day because my grandmother, that she always sort of like took us in when things were hard or chaotic. And it was like such a nice little, sorry. It was just such a nice gift that she gave us. Okay, so another thing is, and this is something I want to encourage you guys to do because I know a lot of you are sort of developing your own gifts and connections to your own intuition. And this is a really brilliant way and a really simple way for you to like sort of feel into your own intuition right now. When you think of somebody right now, just reach out, but reach out without expectation. It's just send a text, whatever, however you usually contact them, and just say, I'm just thinking of you. I want you to know I'm thinking of you. This happened to me the other day. I reached out to a friend of mine who's a respiratory therapist here in New York City. And I just said, hey, how are you doing? And he said, you must have known this was like the perfect time. He's like, I'm having a lot of anxiety right now. And he's been in RT for a really long time. I think probably 20 or 30 years. And probably 30 years because he's older than I am. And he's been in New York hospitals, and he was like, this is really bad. He had 5 patients die on one shift. That's crazy, that number of patients to die in one shift on the unit you're on. And his mom ended up coming through, and I ended up passing on a little message to him. And I was like, now you can rest easy and get some sleep. You need sleep right now. And he's like, I do. And it was so beautiful. But now, obviously, maybe you're not going to give a message like that, but sometimes you just need to reach out at the perfect time, and you don't know it unless if you start to think about them and you just try. These are the ways that you can help if you're not on the front lines and you feel like you're stuck in your house and sort of doing things. And these are the ways to grow your intuition, believe it or not. Another story is a friend of mine. She said, I don't remember, she texted me and I said, are you okay? And she told me today that was actually perfect time to do that because she was kind of going through something. Right now, this time is also about releasing old belief systems, right? And sometimes we think we've like moved on and we've healed and we've learned to set boundaries and we've like released this idea that we're not good enough. But then you find out because healing is really like, they say peeling the layers of an onion away. And in this particular instance, it was a work relationship. And I said to her, because she felt bad for like feeling like the loss of this. And I said to her, it's okay, because when we release old belief systems and we have these belief systems, they're in more relationships than just our families and friends. They're in work relationships too, when we hold on to these ideas that we're not good enough or we just should settle for less. So look for that to happen too, and don't be disappointed because gifts come in sometimes the strangest of ways to like move you on to the next level and move you through all of this chaos. I'm just like, I've got my notes here. That's why I'm saying and saying which way I want to go next. Another thing I saw, this was interesting from a healer, therapist, reverend person, and she's a lovely, lovely person, but I sort of disagreed with it in a way, and I wanted to say why, because I keep seeing these ideas in people, especially spiritual people, saying like, this is what you're going through, and this is how you should feel, and this is how it is. Look, y'all need to feel what you feel. It doesn't matter. You can be totally calm and okay with all of this. I grew up in a survival mode. And that's what my therapist always said. You were always in survival mode. I was always in survival mode. So this to me is like, I'm okay. Like I always know that I think maybe because I grew up in survival mode that I will always be okay. You look around and people are making these apocalyptic things like I've seen in so many different ways, I was watching an astrology person this morning and she said, "Oh, I made this prediction that all of this stuff would go chaotic and there would be a great depression in 2021 and 2022." Okay, so I felt watching it, honestly, I felt nervous and scared and I felt that fear. And then I stopped. And I remember how I tell you guys, if something feels, somebody's teaching you something and it's spiritual, fixing my hair because why not? And it's spiritual and it makes you feel fearful or scared, that's not God. That's not the universe. That isn't coming from spirit. That's their interpretation of something, but that's still their human interpretation. Even when something bad is going to happen, like I've gotten, knowings that I was like, 300 or sorry, like 300 yards in front of me, our car was going to fly off the highway. It was still the calmest information I'd ever received. I was like, okay, let's pull out the coffee. And like, I was like, not scared at all. It was so calm and so like, almost like I was in goo and gel. I was just like, okay, this is what's happening. And that's how, even if something is scary coming, it's such a calming feeling. And when it's coming from spirit and it's a divine source kind of thing. So just remember that when someone is saying something, if it feels scary, also a depression is not coming. And I like, even after that, I texted my friend Tony. I was like, Tony, who's the astrologer that I did his show last week. I keep saying that, but Anthony Pico, you can find him. It's cosmictuesdays.com. And he's like, no, I mean, yes, this is about death and transformation, which is what I feel too, but no, in no way do we feel, either of us feel a depression coming. I've always said this, I feel kind of like this, the markets through about June next year, and then it sort of calms down. And we are going to change the way we do things, but when there is an unrest and upheaval, and things like sort of come to a apex, is that the word we're hearing lately? Then that's like how the change happens. That's how healing occurs. And I believe what comes out of this is that we recognize that for so long, we have allowed certain people, especially minorities, to take the fall and to hold them down. And I think that this is sort of shifting us and making us understand that we can no longer do that we can no longer hold people behind, that we have to support everybody. If you think about a wolf pack, the leader travels at the back, right? And the weakest is at the front. And we're going to start changing. Instead of letting the weak fall to the side and say, too bad for you, we're going to start understanding that we can't really function as a whole if we're leaving people behind. So I think that's sort of the direction we're moving. Okay, I got that part. And should I say any questions? I'm so glad that you guys that I came on. I was like, I think I should come on. Oh, thank you. I told you I put on a little lipstick. My daughters are like, why are you wearing a dress? I was like, I don't know, I just wanna wear real clothes today. And it feels like, it's spring. I feel like I should be doing that. And this dress has pockets, y'all. This is like the best thing ever. Look at pockets. Um, anyway, so then another thing. Oh, I wanted to talk about like the how you should feel like, and this person happened to say that, we're all in a state of shoot, now I can't think of the word. Thank you. Um, it's nice when you clean up. I look pretty when I clean up, right? Just kidding. So, that we're in this survival mode. Well, you could be, but maybe you're not there. Maybe you tend to be calm until the end and then sort of like do your thing. But just wherever you're at, honor it and don't worry about it, and try your best not to judge where somebody else is at. I've sort of gotten into this like detachment mode where I feel like, in a movie scene where you see everybody, like the person is like calm and then everything in the background is out of focus and chaotic and moving around and they're just kind of going like this. Well, that's how I feel right now. Like I'm just sort of just watching the world and I'm making choices about what I give my energy to. And I'm choosing not to give my energy to people and things that I have no influence on, um, aren't open to listening. Not that I'm trying to influence people, but I'm saying like not getting frustrated if somebody has a different belief system than me, because that's their journey. And I think that's where we really need to be. Um, oh, thank you, Stephanie. But I feel like this is really like an important place to be, is sort of become unattached and understand that, like if you know people who are like, whatever, this is stupid, we shouldn't stay at home, like I need this and that, and this is my life, and blah, blah, blah. And um, you're not going to change their mind. And so don't throw your frustrations in the direction to do that. The other thing is like this whole apocalyptic thing, like I'm praying to Jesus, or the new age thing, like the earth is moving to 5D. Y'all, we have had that story for ages. We have been told that story for ages in every religion and everything. I really don't believe that that happens. I am incredibly spiritual. I'm an incredibly faithful person, and I believe there is something bigger than us. But I also believe that we come to this earth plane existence to experience this humanness, and part of the humanness is the chaos and these things that happen. And then I was thinking about my grandmother's visitation, and I was like, she lived through the depression. This woman like was taken in and out of orphanages in order for her mother to survive. She was a single mother with 4 children. Her brothers joined the Navy at 14 and 16 in order to go to war to get away from all of that. This woman dropped out of school, I think, in 7th grade, and she ended up going back to school and becoming a professor and all of this. But like, I see that, and she went through all of these struggles, but like she came out of it, and and we all sort of come out of it, and the world is different afterwards, and people are different afterwards. And I think that that's sort of what happens. What do you mean, does anyone do readings? Oh, this isn't a readings one. This is just a chat, a spiritual chat. I'm only asking if you have a general question. We'll do like a discussion afterwards, but no personal readings today. Sunday nights is that. Unless you want a private reading, and then you can pay me and have me in another time. Um, I look forward to coming back, because I also like, even though I've had chaos and even though I've had a lot of heartache and a lot of things to like heal from and abuse and all of that stuff, there's so many really wonderful and beautiful things. And my kids are amazing. My 3-year-old cracks me. I mean, all of them do, but my 3-year-old just like, she came up the stairs. She and my 7-year-old had been playing in the basement. I was at the top of the stairs in the kitchen, and I had the dress on. I wasn't quite dressed yet. I was about to go do a private reading. And she came up the stairs and just walked up the stairs. She goes, "You look pretty." Like, just really cute and sweet. And it's those moments that make it worth it. And you sort of let go of all of the other stuff. But try like sort of detaching from it. And when you see somebody like get all riled up and they're doing something that you think is just totally stupid, just be like, well, I mean, you have no control over them. You have control over your reaction. You have control over the energy you give to it. And right now, man, save your energy for stuff that matters. there is a huge exodus right now of souls that are sort of like making their transition, and it's heartbreaking the way they're going. And I've been with people when I was a student nurse intern. I remember telling my mom some of the stories, and she was like, "You shouldn't be with people when they're dying." Because I was like 20 years old. She's like, "You're too young." And I was like, "But they don't know what they're going to expect on the other side. Like, they don't. We have an idea, but like, why not make them as comfortable as possible before they make their last step out?" So that was sort of my thing, but it's really sad. So just send out as much love as you can into the world, and don't entertain all the fear. And I really do believe the numbers are going to be much lower than they say. And they've even come out with that. And I've said that. And so if you've been watching me, you know that. But it does depend on us to care for the whole and the greater good. I know he did, King. That's okay. It's all going to work out. I haven't been reading too much into the politics because I feel like there's so many other places that my gifts are in need, and there's so many other people that can read all this political stuff. So what have y'all been experiencing lately? What are your thoughts, comments, curiosities? Thank you, MM. I mean, sometimes I'm wrong. My reading today, she's like, "Well, does it have to be that far out?" I said, "Look, I hope I'm wrong for your sake, and you can have everything you want. But these are sometimes the reasons why things take." I'm eating a Werther's original. I just love them. Sorry, it fell out of my mouth. Pretty gross. Everything does kind of always turn out. I've sort of like, I used to get really scared about, and I like to go and read, what's his name's predictions, who did the helicopter and all of that. And I'd read as much as I could and think, when's it going to happen? And then I just realized like this huge like kind of awakening happened for me in the last 2 weeks. I'm kind of like, that's not how it is. Insomnia happens. I think I've been waking up at weird hours. Also, the veil is super, super thin. And I keep having people say stuff to me. I'm like, oh yeah, like, and you're going to be opening up. I think people are going to be really expanding in their gifts and their intuition. Hold tight though when you're an empath, because a lot of you are going to feel that in your heart and in your stomach chakra. So just recognize that, or your solar plexus. Just recognize that if you breathe into it and sort of release it, it helps. Da Vinci, no, but I wasn't Da Vinci. Oh, then I wasn't the helicopter person, not Da Vinci. Who's that? Who's the like famous predictor who has all the quatrains? Of course, I can remember quatrains, and I can't remember his name, and that always happens in my spiritual head. The virus will cause a spiritual awakening. Any kind of, anytime you go through struggle and strife, it sort of does wake you up. Global domination. Well, that's a little dark, and I don't move in that. I don't really think of it in that motion, but that to me feels more Illuminati, and that's not where I resonate. Nostradamus, God bless you. Like as soon as I said quatrains, every single one of you knew what I talked about. I knew you would. God bless you. And anxiety is like, because here's the other thing is it's a really super easy emotion to dig into and feel. Fear is too. When it's elevated, it's just, it like sort of consumes you. So honestly, what I've done is I do read the news and I check and I look at stuff, but I try to sort of stay again, detached from it. Like, okay, this is happening, but, again, it's not moving into an apocalypse. It's not moving into this doom and gloom. We are not going to have a recession. I mean, a depression. Money's going to be tight. People are going to lose their jobs, and businesses are going to fail. But this all happens, and people recover, and things kind of move on. Yeah, but I don't consider these lockdowns. I mean, the military's not outside my house telling me I can't leave, right? There's an understanding of why that commerce can't happen regularly, because we are trying to look, if we had better prepared and had been better set up for something like this wouldn't have happened. But there was a lot of failures that occurred along the way. So that's why we as a whole, as humanity, have to go, okay, what's the best for the greater good of all? And the best for the greater good is to kind of like hold tight and try and stop the spread of this. But I don't consider myself locked down. I can leave my house if I have to. Can I go to the mall? No. Do I need to go to the mall? No. I live in Jersey. That's why we talk about malls, y'all. And then I hear like, oh my God, the version of Tiffany, I think we're alone now. Because she did her video in a mall. That's why I was thinking of it. Anyway. No, Sock Monkey, it's not you just not letting go. So Sock Monkey says, my mother passed away 10 years ago, but doesn't really feel gone. Is it you just not letting go, or is it you holding her back? You aren't holding her back. So the thing is we get stuck in this idea, this superhuman idea that we can either be here or here, because our physical bodies can either be here or here. But our souls and our spirits can be like in a million different places at once. That's like the idea of astral travel, that you don't die when you move, when you do a visitation while you're asleep. So you never are holding them back. The thing is that you have to remember is that we're a continuation of their journey. We travel in soul families. So while I don't believe in like a soulmate, a perfect whatever, there are people that we resonate more with in those soul families, but I don't think there's this like twin flamey thing that happens. I know I go against the grain with a lot of things that are taught. I don't know, just how I roll. I'm a feather ruffler, I guess. So they stay with us, not all the time, but a lot, especially if we feel like they feel like we need that comfort, and they love us and they sort of want to see this continuation of our journey. And it speaks volumes to the bond that the two of you had, that she's with you, but you aren't holding her back. She's still able to go do whatever she wants. She's not, it's sort of like she's keeping an ear here for you. They aren't really stuck per se. Yeah, I mean, look for, Mr. Rogers, he said that look for the helpers. When things are going bad, look for the helpers. And that's sort of, I think, always the way I've been. I've always sort of looked at the world on the shiny side. There's always going to be something good that comes from everything, always. I think positive changes are coming out already. So, hey says only when this is over, I feel we'll grasp. Yeah, I mean, for sure. Like, it's like the debriefing after a code or something like that. When somebody goes down, is there, like, you kind of go and look at what happened, what could you have done better, that kind of stuff. So yeah, that kind of happens afterwards, where everybody sort of starts to go, like, we can't go to that place again. Like, people deserve to have healthcare. We need to have a better infrastructure set up, those kind of things. And we need to, stop with a lot of the things that are going on. People do crazy things when they feel out of control. So when they feel they have no control over things, they do a lot of crazy things. So, I wrote this down. Hang on, because I sent this to a message to somebody because she was asking me about something, and I said, let me see if I can find it. She was like, these people who are crazy are even making the healthy people sick. And I said, the healthy were never healthy. It's sort of just all being forced to heal right now. Like, we've all got stuff that has to be healed. And then I said, people like drama and they like to pay attention to it because it gives them a strange sense of superiority and control. And so they create drama in order to then feel like they have power. Oh, it's a crazy time. I hate saying that though, because everybody's like, it's a crazy time. Y'all, humanness is crazy. Sorry, my laptop's on this at a little wonky angle. Yeah, and the people making PPEs and people that are, like, at home, like, "How can I help? I can do this, I can do that." I mean, all the people that are coming together, and it's in spite of what everybody is telling us. They're sort of like, "Well, if you're not gonna take over and make something happen, then I'm going to," and that's amazing. God does always have a plan, or the universe, or whatever you wanna call it, or I mean, there's like, we can't always see the big picture. We can't always see the beauty of it, or, like, you look at the back of a tapestry or crochet or something, and it looks kind of messy, right? But then you can't always see the front and how the beauty of it comes together. I when I was a travel nurse, I was doing I did one contract at Maimonides in Brooklyn. Well, that is a crazy hospital. It is so busy with, I mean, I had one night I had like 17 babies in the newborn nursery by myself, which is insane. But I digress. I was sitting outside. It was like 4 because I worked nights. I was like 4 o'clock in the morning, and I took my break outside. It's very busy outside. There's a lot of lights, so it's fine to sit outside. The weather was nice. And I was reading a book, and I was sitting on one side of the bench, and a woman was kind of on the other side of the bench, and she was talking to me. And somehow people always find me to tell me these things about how her 95-year-old father was in, and he was on life support, and they were just praying to God for a miracle that would bring him back. And I get it because people don't want to say goodbye, but I, like, somehow randomly said to her, somehow, um, sometimes the blessing and the miracle is in the passing. Um, we don't know that some of these people that are crossing over right now, sometimes when you go over, you have an opportunity to say, yes, I want to live. If, when they talk about people who have NDEs, near death experiences, you have a choice at some point. Sometimes in our lives, we actually have different opportunities for exit points. It's not just one and done. Like, this is when I'm going, this is when my journey ends. Because I think we're a part of deciding what our journey is going to be before we come down. It's not, to me, it's not like this God who goes, this is how it is. I feel like we have a choice and a say in kind of creating this experience that we have. That's like sort of part of the free will. And so some people have different exit points. And so when a trauma happens, they may go, okay, now this is what it's going to be like when you come back, yay or nay. And I sometimes think sometimes people are taking the thing because they don't want whatever that other option is. So you don't know. We can't always say, and it is sad. It doesn't mean it's not sad to lose somebody, or when somebody goes over, and there's grief and there's the process of dealing with that loss. But oftentimes, we can't always see what that is, and it's learning to be okay with that. Well, okay. Wait, hang on, what did King say that you? Yeah, people get cabin fever. I'm fortunate. We have a nice yard, and I live in the suburbs of New Jersey, right? So, or New York City suburbs. That's what, like, Jersey and Connecticut and, and upstate New York is called. Not upstate, like Westchester is. Um, but so I am getting out. I'm getting some air. I'm also, I tend to be a bit of an introvert, and I grew up. We didn't have a lot of money, so I wasn't signed up for our sports and all of this other stuff. I was a latchkey kid. I had to figure it all out. So I did spend a lot of time inside as a kid too. I mean, I played outside too, but you don't feel good right now. Yeah, someone may. I was thinking about that too. It's like, how do we make people think about, like, making their print, and, like, think about all the people that are remembered, but think about all the people that aren't. I took my daughter, 7-year-old, over to the cemetery because she wanted to go to a cemetery, because we're very open about talking about death and um, all kinds of spiritual stuff. And the cemetery is like 300 years old, because it's in this town nearby. And I was thinking about it, and how many of these people just, they existed and now they don't. And there's no other than their headstone, that half of them were super rubbed off and you could barely read them. They were just there. I mean, and that's sort of kind of beautiful in a way too. Like, somehow they left a mark without us even knowing. You don't feel good from staying inside, open your windows. At least open your windows. If if you don't have an outdoor space and you don't have a balcony or you can't walk outside or whatever, just open your windows. Get some fresh air in. They actually say that's good too. So it's good for moving the energy around in your house. Right, Danny? I know. I was like, I really do like this is like another day for me. I still talk to my best friends. I still talk to my I'm not the kind of person who's like, let's go get coffee because I'm usually like, I really am a true introvert and like, how much energy do I want to expend today on somebody else? I spend a lot with my children. I expect, and I need a lot of like recuperation time. Yeah, just keep doing those little things for yourself. Keep breathing, and I've been feeling this a lot for people is that the need to release and the need to breathe. So, and when you're breathing, we all breathe for our bodies, right? We all breathe to keep this moving, but do we all breathe to I don't know what I was gonna say. We don't always necessarily breathe for our soul, and I call this soul breathing again is the this is actually a way too to help strengthen your lungs, by the way, if you're looking for it. But it's like, you breathe in for 2 seconds, breathe out for four. Whatever you're breathing in, you double on the way out. You'd be surprised at growing your lung power and your lung capacity will help you, but also like how much aren't aware of how little you actually expand your lungs. And rain is also a cleansing thing energetically. It cleanses the earth. It brings new life. So just I always try to find the joy in every single situation. I'm like, it's actually a lot nicer out than I thought it was supposed to be today. So I'm gonna make my kids go outside in a little bit. We go to the grocery store, I have to curl up under the blanket after because I know it is. My husband said, because he had gone to the grocery store the day before, but then I had to make these like pickups. And it is weird. I was actually more annoyed. I was like, how are they not wearing masks? Don't they? But whatever. I guess if the stores can't provide, but he said he came home because he didn't have anything to wear and he was like washing his whole face and he's like, I don't ever want to go out like this is and I mean it is kind of I get it and it's very quiet and very somber and but it's all going to come back. This is not I told my husband I think the reason why there's like no frozen foods and one because I think people are freaked out about buying vegetables and things, which I'm totally buying them up. I don't care. And not like crazy amounts, obviously, what you can eat of fresh vegetables. But I said I don't think that many people cook normally. Most people eat out a lot, especially in this area. So now people are like now having to cook, and it's like they're going crazy. I don't like doing stores on the weekends because of everybody else's energy. It's just too much. And what's funny though is I'm kind of okay when I go to concerts and I'm kind of okay when I go into the city and walk around. There's something about the city that I really like. And love does conquer all. So it is sort of about putting your energy out there in a loving and kind manner. Also just really super trusting. I'm like, I can 99.9% promise you this is not the apocalypse, that we're not going into a depression, that this is all going to kind of come out the other end and we're going to be okay. This is, in the grand scheme of things, a short-term thing. And I remember when I went to college, I went to UW Eau Claire and I went to high school outside of Milwaukee. And I never even visited the school before I went to sign up for my classes. I literally, and so I was like, how could you do that? It was like a 250-mile difference. And I was like, I can live anywhere for 4 years. I can do anything for a certain amount of time. Like I sort of just have that attitude of like, we can get through this. I always had that we can get through this attitude. This is but a blip in the whole grand existence of things. Remember how I said to you, King, I thought that the vaccines were coming out quicker than they originally predicted, like not the year to 18 months? Remember how I said that? So if you're hearing that, then I didn't read that or anything, but that's, I'm telling you guys, like, just sit tight. And when it starts to get like seem really scary and you're starting to watch the numbers climb, I did hear the number 40,000. I don't know. I don't know if that's for the whole United States or if that's for New York or whatever. I just heard that number in particular. I was thinking it was for, because I knew it wasn't for the world, but the numbers are not going to be as high as they're predicting. And I believe that is because we are coming together and doing what's best for the greater good. Um, um, are you in a Scandinavian country, Stephanie? I don't know. There is uncertainty because you have to understand we are a global commerce. You know, what one does, it affects the other. But guess what? That's like sort of the idea of anything. Like what you do and what you put out does matter. It does affect other people. You cannot live in your own little bubble of me. Even if you look on a cellular level, right? We have all these cells in our bodies, and if if one starts to grow, because the cancer is basically a cell that's gone crazy and started to mass produce in different forms, into like this blob of sickly cells. What happens there affects the rest of the body. So what happens here affects, what happens in the United States and China. Like, so this idea of like you, me, us versus them is really silly because we really are on a huge team. I don't think we're going to become like this one world order type thing, but I do feel like there's going to be a little bit better idea of you scratch your back, I'll scratch mine. You scratch my back, I'll scratch yours. Yeah, that one. Helping each other and really not just trying to screw somebody into the ground. They won't be. And that's why, yeah, you're right. They won't be able to wait the 12 to 18 months. And I've said that. And I think I also know that I really, really believe they're going to start pumping out us doing the antibody test to figure out who's clear and who's not clear. They, as a whole, the goal is to get back in. Listen, people like making money. Their money to roll in, and they're going to do what they need to do in order to get us back out there, right? Well, I also think that, so this is the interesting thing when I was watching about Sweden, because you said that it feels like everybody's criticizing you right now. I also heard this, and it was an interesting thing, is that people tend to be more socially distant in Sweden anyway, right? So it seems to be more like, from what I could tell, it's still sort of more responsible than other communities. So everybody will work out on their own the way they need to do it. We are on a quantum level connected. Absolutely. I believe in quantum physics and energy, and I believe in energy healing. I believe, y'all, this, like, all right, okay, I'm going to tell you this dream I had. It's crazy, the experience I had with this. So I had a dream one night. When you drive from, there's an area when you drive from the south end of Hoboken to the area of New Jersey that I live, where you have to go around this like double jug handle thing. They call them jug handles, like the little loop-de-loops. And I had a dream. It was probably like, I knew it was like 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. I was not myself. I was a lesbian woman, and I knew the height and everything, haircut and everything. And my girlfriend was sitting next to me in the car, and she grabbed the steering wheel and like went to straddle me and make out with me. And I was like, threw her off. I was like, what the hell are you doing? Like, I'm driving. What the fuck is wrong with you? And there's like, so this curve comes up, right? And there's this curb. This is the way the real setup is in real life, but in the dream. And I remember, and I was driving like a little 4-door sedan. And I remember thinking, I used to jump curbs on my bike in first grade. In real life, I did this. But in this dream, I remember thinking that. And so I like somehow popped the curb with the car, and like nothing happened. The car was fine. There was this little tiny scratch on the back fender. And I was like, holy shit. Fast forward about 7 months, I was doing readings, and there was like a ladies' night out type thing in this town nearby me. And I was doing readings for somebody's business, and people would come in, and I was carrying some stuff back out to my car at the end of the night. And the woman's the owner's sister was helping me carry my things out, and she happens to be a lesbian. And she goes, I got to tell you this story. And she says, I really do believe in something higher. People always feel like they need to tell me why that what I do is legitimate. And I was like, okay, whatever. So she's like, I really do believe in this. And she starts to tell me this series of events. Y'all, she told me about my dream. She's like, I was in my car. It told me exactly where she was, told me her exact thoughts of, oh my God, I can jump the curb. I used to jump the curbs with my bike in first grade. There was a little scratch on the back of her car. I didn't even know what to say. I just sat and listened for the next part of her story and the next part of her story and the next part of her story. I don't know how that was possible. So when I say I believe in a lot of things that are crazy and out there, I believe in a lot of things are possible that we have so many limits on. It's unbelievable. I don't know why I would have been helping her. I don't know why I would have had that experience. I don't understand it at all. I didn't enter her dream. It was her reality, and I was in her. Yeah. So when I say hold tight, when I have faith that there's something bigger out there and that we're going to be okay, I really mean hold tight and have faith. This is why I think I'm so calm about all of this, because again, last June I was told he's going to go, meaning Trump is going to go, but not how we want. And I really believe this is the catalyst to all of that. But it's not just to get Trump to go. It's leading into a whole bunch of other things. I believe them when they tell me the numbers aren't going to be that bad. I believe them that everything's going to go back. Now, it's not going to go back to the way it was, because when you have an upheaval of anything in your life, nothing goes back. It becomes a new normal. It shifts into a different thing, but it's not about this 5-dimensional, we're transitioning the entire world into this thing. It just becomes a different way of doing things and a different view of doing things. It's not precognitive. It wasn't. I'm telling you, it was different than being precognitive, because I was her. So it wasn't me viewing something as if it was happening. It was me being her. And it was, when she told me the time frames, it was the same time I was like, when she said, oh, this happened this time. And I was like, holy crap. And like that, I basically somehow was with her. Um, yeah, like I was in her through her eyes. Um, So when you dream of people in your dreams, I do believe I didn't tell her about the dream. I was like, honest to God, didn't even know what to say, because I was like, I was floored that I just thought I was having a weird dream when I had it. It was like just a weird experience. I was like, all right, who knows what that's about? Why am I dreaming about that? But like, I was floored. I didn't know what to say. I was just like, and then she hugged me and I'm like, okay, bye. Like I was like a deer in headlights. I was literally like, I didn't know what to say. I'm usually not very speechless. So that was like pretty um, amazing. It won't go back to what it was. It can't, right? It's like all these people who are like, I want to go back with this relationship. And you're like, why? Because all this terrible stuff happened. You can't go back to the beginning. It just doesn't. There's too much history rewritten into it. Wait, hang on. Someone asked something I was going to answer. Oh, Danny, speaking of dreams, when you dream someone, do you know that it doesn't mean they're dreaming you sometimes? I remember telling my sister about this dream. I used to have this dream, kind of like a recurring dream. I've had a lot of recurring dreams throughout my life, but about gigantic contact lenses, like walking on a beach and seeing like all these gigantic contact lenses on the beach and like trying to fit them in my eyes and actually seeing my oldest sister there. And I remember telling her about it after. She's like, I had that dream too. I do believe that sometimes we do meet up in dreams. They call it meeting in the ethers, and have those experiences together. Monica, I'm not doing any readings. If it's not Sunday, most of the time I'm not doing readings, just so you know. And the title of this, I think, doesn't say readings, but you can join us anyways. It's hard to distinguish between the two. What do you mean? No, and the thing is we also when you say we don't understand the human mind, um, and the soul, right? So there's something more here than just our bodies. And that's sort of like all the basis behind what spiritualism believes in the spiritualist church. So that's why, I mean, a lot of religions do, but I mean, that's why we believe in spirit communication and doing readings and energy healings. I can tell the difference between my premonitions and my regular dreams. There's only been, I don't know why. I can always tell the difference, and it's hard to explain. Like when they're just dreams, and my guides just trying to work with me, or my brain trying to work something out, versus a premonition. Um, I don't know why. Maybe it's sort of I focused on this, and that's why. I know visitation dreams are amazing, and I think more of you are going to have them, especially now. I don't know if anybody else has been having. Sorry, I keep wiggling. I don't know if anybody else has been having like a lot of crazy, like really vivid dreams lately, but I noticed mine have been very, very vivid. Um, can you be in two places at the same time, parallel dimensions? Yeah, but it's not really. So it's your soul. It's okay. So I believe that all time happens at once. So nothing is really past or future. It's all sort of just happening right now. So then you are in different universes all at the same time. I only have hermit crabs, and they've been very active and friendly lately. I don't have any pets. I don't know if anybody else can speak to the animal thing. Has anybody else's animals been acting a little bit nutty? You know, they are empathic, and they do sense energy. So, and they can sense illnesses, and they can sense, like dogs especially can sense pregnancies. Like they'll like oftentimes they'll lay like against a woman's belly. Um, hang on, sorry. She just, if you just talk to her, Kansas girl, too, just let your dog know that it's okay. And maybe place your hands on your doggy and sort of kind of visualize like energy moving through and like sending calming energy to her. Like, so, like, one on her head and one on her little rumpus, sort of sending energy through her to kind of calm her. Put your right hand on her head and your left hand, like, kind of on the back side of her, and just kind of, picture the energy moving through. So it'll come through the back of your head, down and around, sort of like sending her healing. Also, the veil is thinner right now, so there's a lot more spirit meditation. So your animals might be a little bit on edge because of that, or noticing things because of that. So energy activation, it's more so of like not. So I have two meditation videos. You could do one of two. They're short. The one of them that I have is really talking about like seeing that light within you and kind of moving in and out. It'll help kind of move energy through you and ground you. You can also visualize a white light coming down through your head and kind of moving down through your body as you breathe through it. Feel the warmth of the universe and the light moving down through and out the bottom of your feet and deep, deep, deep down and right into the center of Mother Earth. And it'll sort of hold you in a balance. That's a good way to help you kind of open that up and balance. It's definitely energetic. That's definitely so your solar plexus, which is your stomach, your belly area. And remember, your chakras sort of overlap. They don't just stop like a beautiful little picture. They kind of overlap. So that's why oftentimes you feel like kind of a little bit in both. But so your solar plexus is your self-esteem, how you relate to the world and how the world relates to you, right? So that's going to kind of come up a lot for world events and things like that. And how am I going to fit now in this world? And how is this going to interact and things like that? So that might be why you're feeling it there, especially. You're welcome, Kansas girl. Yeah, I was gonna say that too, Danny. You might be picking up on your energy as well. Um, oh, thank you, Floyd. um, then it could just be the energies around you. And you've probably also, again, lots and lots of, I'm telling you, I can't tell you how much spirit energy I've had around my house. And it's like, I mean, I could just see them walking around, moving in and out, stopping, pausing, like, it's so busy. So, and my daughters are talking about a lot about seeing a lot at night as they fall asleep, which is what I used to get when I was little. So, it's just busy and everybody is but I can't tell you how many people have said to me, "It's so busy right now, the activity is so crazy." People talking about feeling people sitting on their beds, moving things around in their apartment. Um, actually having a more awareness and knowing of things. Oh my goodness. I've been on here an hour. Woo. Yeah, and seeing stuff all the time. Absolutely. So it's just busy right now. So your animals are going to be sensitive to that. And absolutely the insomnia and the dreams and everything else. So, they wake us up when it's the quietest. And here's the other reason why I think we're also really, the veil is so thin and people are really experiencing. When you have a lot of experiences, people talk about 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, right? The world is so much quieter right now. I mean, they even talk about that the earth is vibrating less. So it's not so much that they're just now visiting us so much. It's just that it's calm enough and our lives are calm enough in order for us to feel them around and feel their energy and feel our connection to something bigger. So keep that in mind too, that and for me, like people are like, how can you always be open and connecting to things? And for me, I would I don't know what I'd do without it. Like, I find it comforting. Danny, relax. Part of it is because 'cause you're focusing on it not working for you. And your gifts are not gonna come in. It's gonna happen a little different for you. If you do wake up at that time, what should you do? Nothing, just relax into it. If they really wanna give you a message and you feel that, then just ask them to clarify it. If you really wanna go back to sleep, just say, "Meet me in my dreams." That's what I usually do because I like my sleep since I have kids and they wake me up enough. I don't need spirit waking me up too. So the veil is thin. So it means like basically the wall between us and spirit world. And around Dia de Muertos, that's when it's really thin too, which is Halloween that time. It's always really thin then. Um, uh, it just means that the connection is much easier to get to the vibrate. You don't have to do much work to connect in with them. And what causes that? It can be your willingness to be more spiritual and open, and big mass events where there's trauma and people are struggling. They tend to turn and look at more of a spiritual connection at like, what's my purpose in life? Why am I here? What is all of this stuff? Those kind of events cause people to do that, right? So when people start to seek something bigger, the door opens. What is that? I don't know if it's in the Gnostic Gospels or if it's in the Bible. It's like seek and you shall find, knock and the door shall open. It's sort of that kind of thing. The other thing that causes it is you stop having so much input from other places because we're sort of forced to slow down a little bit, and it allows you to like be open to it because there's not so much other input. A lot of times when they teach you to read, they'll say like close your eyes in order to connect in or in order to see or sense, right? When you like those times when they say like you're trying to concentrate in the car and you're like, turn the radio down. It's like, what is it? I need to see something. It's like, what the hell is the radio turning down to have to do with anything? Well, it's like it's just one less input for you to sort of like focus more. My hair, I tend to get it like where it looks like a helmet, and I sort of like a little bit more craziness. What did Albert say? Do you feel like people will observe how much the animals and environment have? I do. I feel like it is going to make a difference. Now, there's still going to be the idiots out there who are like, "Well, this was all great before," just like that people are like, back in my day. Um, thank you, Danny. Danny says, like and subscribe. So it, they will, and I do think changes are going to occur, and this is much needed healing time for the earth and for the world. And shifts are going to happen, but remember now, people still change kind of slowly. So even though they're going to see all the things that need to be done, there's still bureaucracy and baloney that has to be done to taken care of. But I do think people as a whole are going to be making more steps to make sure we're moving in a more positive direction. And I try not to get too much into politics. Y'all know me. I'm not a big Trump fan. So, and I've had people let me know that they didn't like that I wasn't a Trump fan or that I was even saying something negative. But, whatever. I'm entitled to my own opinions. You don't have to like them. All right, y'all. It's been an hour. I hope this was helpful. I'm always super, super excited to spend time with you guys. And as I've always said, I love talking about everything spiritual, and I'm going to provide a space of calm and peace for you because I think that's really what you deserve when you're searching for something spiritual. I refuse to feed into the energy of fear and doom and gloom. It doesn't mean I always have rosy glasses on. I just like to live in a little bit more down to earth, practical. So you guys have a lovely evening. I still need to get math done with my 7-year-old, so I gotta get that in. Thank you again for listening and entertaining my thoughts and sharing your own experiences. If you like me, please subscribe, please hit like, share with others. Love you too. Come back. And if you want a private reading, you can reach me at Annalisa@myspiritualfriend.com. My Instagram is at myspiritualfriend. Why can I not think today? And my Twitter is at myspiritualfriend, FRND, spelled that way, no IE. All right, y'all be good, and I will see you Sunday night. Be kind, be good to others, be good to yourself.